there. So today I'm going to talk about 4 common stress responses that neuroplasticity can fix. If you don't know me, I'm Brooklyn Hannah. I'm a brain retraining coach helping people reverse their chronic symptoms with neuroplasticity and Christian principles so they can eat what they want and go where they want and do what they want without restrictions. So subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a new video every Tuesday if this content resonates with you. So if you have chronic symptoms such as fatigue, brain fog, sensitivities, digestive problems, insomnia, chronic pain, etc., then you likely have a chronic stress response going on in your body and in your brain. And so what happens is the brain creates a trauma response. It's kind of like this confused response as a result of an experience and things that have happened to you in the past and stressful events in the present as well. And it's kind of this maladaptive stress response that occurs. And so a lot of this occurs though subconsciously unless you do the work to bring it into the consciousness. And when you become aware of the thinking that it's associated with the response and those behaviors, you weaken those pathways and are able to rewire your brain to create a healthier response. Because guess what? We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to what happens to us and how we perceive that. So talking about these 4 stress responses will help you bring awareness to the behaviors associated with them. And really these are like coping mechanisms as a result to the initial trauma or stress. And I believe there are actually, like 6 of them now, but I'm just going to talk about the 4 most common ones today. And they're called the fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So let's first talk about fight. So this occurs when you're fighting kind of to protect yourself. So this can look like aggressive behaviors such as yelling at someone or even hitting someone if you took it that far with a behavior. It could look like bullying or narcissistic tendencies. And with the fight response, you might try to control others instead of making changes yourself, right? You're telling others what to do, things like that. And so healthy responses would to be establish boundaries, with other people to protect yourself or others. And so now let's talk about number 2, and this is the flight stress response. So this occurs when we try to get away from something as quick as we can. So behaviors that show up with this include workaholism. You're trying to work a lot to just keep your mind from thinking about the negative stuff. Perfectionism, feeling like you always have to be doing something, just kind of like always staying busy, the ants in your pants type thing. Obsessive compulsive behaviors, pushy conversations. And then I would also say this flight could be like the avoidance behaviors, right? Like, oh, the food caused this response, I gotta avoid. And just kind of like the avoidance behaviors of avoiding certain environments and foods and EMF and chemicals. Sometimes that can be kind of a flight response. Oh, I see this thing, right? I see this cell phone, and usually it makes me react, so I have to get away from this. Just kind of a protective mechanism. Not always, because we know that sometimes it can be healthy, right? To eat healthier and to avoid certain junk foods and things like that. Some things are like maybe good for your health. But we take it to the extreme when we go into severe avoidance and we're kind of living in this bubble of fear and not able to live our normal life. And so with this response, also this flight response, you may also feel pretty fearful. You may have like panic or anxiety. And it may be kind of tough to sit still, like I said. You may feel like tired but wired at the same time. You may overanalyze and overthink things. And so a healthier flight response would be leaving an unhealthy relationship, right? You're kind of flighting from a relationship, but it's unhealthy, so it's going to benefit you. Disengaging in a negative conversations, or, of course, removing yourself from physical danger. Okay, so the 3rd stress or trauma response is freeze. So this is where you just feel very stuck or frozen. You have a really difficult time kind of making decisions and thinking clearly. You feel pretty out of it, maybe kind of spaced out or brain fogged. If you're in freeze, you may feel really overwhelmed by like everything. Maybe even conversation overwhelms you, or just daily tasks seem to overwhelm you in general. You may feel disconnected or kind of dissociated from yourself or others. You feel kind of out of your body maybe. You may feel very isolated and you may like avoid social situations. You don't have a desire to socialize really. And you may also feel like emotionally numb. And so a healthy response would, just kind of bring awareness to it. Like when you're feeling out of it in a conversation, just bring awareness and be mindful in the present moment. Okay, so now let's talk about the last one, which is Fawn. This one's like a newer developed one, or a newer discovery that people have found. And this occurs when you excessively people please. And so you may be codependent on others. You may feel a loss of self, or a loss of your value system or your identity. And you want to do everything for everyone else, right? And you just love, maybe you love giving, or you just love like, oh, when you make someone else happy, it's like, oh, the best thing, which nothing wrong with that, but you kind of, you go over the top to people please people, and it kind of steals your joy at times. You really try to impress others. So a healthier response would be to some of these stress responses in general is like learning to, like the fight response, when you're aggressive and you want to yell at somebody, is learning to agree to disagree. Everybody has different opinions on everything. And when we try to stand our ground and fight with others like that, that's just feeding our own stress response, harming ourselves, revving up our own systems, causing symptoms in ourselves. And so learning to really just agree to disagree with others. You don't have to agree with everybody. You don't have to share your opinion if they're not asking. Just really learning to compromise with others, just looking at others in love, having compassion towards others, and just practicing like active listening when others are talking. Really not thinking you're the right one all the time. And so just briefly, those are the 4 common stress responses that occur as a result of stress and trauma. Your brain is kind of trying to cope. And the amazing thing is that with neuroplasticity and brain retraining, you can start to change your thinking and your behaviors, so you get out of this and you get out of the stress response eventually. And after you do this with conscious effort, your brain starts responding in a stressful way, in a traumatic way. Because of this mind-body connection, this also helps resolve your symptoms in time, especially if you're in a brain retraining program and you're consistently working on this. So if you want to discover the natural 3-step system that provides relief, or it can help provide relief from food and environmental sensitivities without labs, supplements, or restricted diets, watch our free masterclass. It's linked below. Also, we do have a free Facebook group. Right now it's called Brain Rewiring for Health and Happiness. If you like free tips every day, the link for that is also below. Godspeed and God bless.